Welcome as we play with Moments with You stamp and thin cut set. So we are going to make a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card today, and I've got a lot of strips cut, and I want to explain a little bit about this stamp set. The I Love is actually a thin cut and not a stamp, but you can buy it without the thin cut if you want. So today we're going to do some stamping, tone-on-tone stamping on cardstock, and the first thing that I'm going to do is cut all of my strips to 4 1/4 by 1/2 inch. Then I take my panel here, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I've already pre-drawn a line about 2 1/2 inches from the bottom. So when you get this die, I just want to put a little note on here. I added some washi tape because the dot on the top of the eye is super small and I'm going to lose it. So I add some washi tape, and that's how I store it so that I don't lose that. I thought we might use those, and then I changed my mind later. So there's the card that we're using from the catalog, or that we're going to duplicate, and I'm just going to run this through my Big Shot, and this is Smoothie Cardstock. Now, if you're not familiar with Close to My Heart cardstock, which is what I'm using today, they are two-tone. So one side is the true color, and the back side is about 10-15% lighter, and that's what we're doing with all of our colors here. So we're also going to do some Distress Oxide ink. If you don't have Distress Oxide ink, you could use regular water-based ink and maybe just water it down a little bit on an all-purpose mat and then paint it on to get a similar effect if you're not comfortable with ink blending on dye ink. But Distress Oxide inks really help this out. So I'm using my ATG and the line that I created here to really put a lot of adhesive down on here. You could use wet adhesive or dry adhesive for this. It doesn't really matter. And I'm just using the glare to figure out where I might be missing some pieces. And I want to make sure that you know that we're going to be using some non-stick scissors just because there's a little bit of gunk here. So I'm starting with my Canary, so the true color, and then I flip it over, and then I have that lighter color. And you just want to make sure that the end of your strip is above that line. This is Sundance, the true and the light, and then you'll see some some Bluebird next. Now I'm coming in with Glacier and Sapphire. So all I have to do is flip my panel around and cut the hang off over. And when I do that, that leaves me with a more desirable effect or look. And then I can come in with the little pieces that are left. And I am going to cut this with my trimmer right where that line was that I made, and I'm still going to use the whole panel. I'm not going to toss any of that away, okay? I have a little piece right here that I want to cover, so I'm going to put just a tad bit of tacky glue down and use the Sapphire. And I'm going to set that aside to dry, and while that's drying, that's perfect. I'm going to come in with my Distress Oxide, and I am using the really pretty color called Mustard Seed, and I just like to use a little all-purpose mat underneath of this. So you're going to do a heavy circle in the middle, and then you're going to release your pressure and move that ink so it creates a nice flowy circle where it just gets lighter on the outside. You can come in with a little spray pen or anything that you have that will give you some water, and that's going to fight with the ink that's on your paper to decide who stays and who goes, if you will. So we'll put that aside and let that dry, and while that dries, we're going to get out our tone-on-tone or inks to do tone-on-tone stamping, So I use Canary cardstock with Canary ink, and then we'll just pull these sentiments down, and we'll use our little cushion here, and we will just walk across our ink pad here and stamp. And I know it's a little hard to see right now, but I will definitely pull this up a little bit so that you can see it throughout the stamping process. So even though I have the lighter version of Canary, I'm still stamping on using that same sort of ink color. So I grab a little piece of computer paper here to mask off any area that I don't want to get stamped. Now, if you want this to hang off like it's a continuous, like a pattern paper, you can just ink the ends of your sentiment and finish off any blank spaces that you have there. So now we're going to come in with Glacier ink here, and I was at first trying to do exactly how I had seen it in the Close to My Heart catalog, which is available May through June, and then I just give it up and I just decide to do with whatever my heart is happy with. So here we go. I'm using Glacier ink on the lighter part of the Glacier cardstock. And now I'm going to come in with Sapphire. And I really love how nice and bold this turns out. Super cute, super fun. So let's pop up here to Sundance, and then we're going to go ahead and type your face. Even though I had already done your face again, I'm going to end up doing it again, but it's okay. And the sound of your laugh like sunshine is that nice, fun print that's in there. But I think it turns out great regardless. So we'll come in with a little bit of Bluebird ink and finish off those little corner pieces that you can see there. And I'm just going to use the same exact stamp to do the one on the bottom. No one's going to know the difference. They're never going to know. Maybe they will if they watch this. So now this is dry enough. I could have probably shot this with a little bit of a heat tool, but I was a little impatient. But it is dry enough that I can stamp right on top of it now. So it says Our Friendship, and I did that in Sapphire ink. And then this wasn't in the sample that I saw in the catalog, but I added some black shimmer by just splattering it, as you saw me do there. Isn't that cute? I love it. Okay, so we're going to put this down at the bottom and this at the top. And then there's a little 1/4 inch by, I don't know what it was because I ended up cutting it off, strip that I'm going to marry those two together with. Now, this would be really cute to add some stitching either with a sewing machine or just with a pen. Whatever, to add a little emphasis on this. But I end up adding journaling pen around the edges of it that you'll see in the pictures at the end here. So now it's just time to add our little sentiment piece that we die cut out of Smoothie cardstock. And I'm just using this tacky glue. It's from Tombow. And it's that mono liquid glue, and I really like it. It's my favorite. And now the last thing that we have left to do is to add a little bit of bling to this. So I'm going to come in with my loose sequins and add a little bit of bling. I love this. You get a lot of real estate with these guys. You get a lot in a package, and they last forever. So I'm going to add those in and just sort of hook those in with my mono liquid glue. So the rest of my little journaling pen edition I do off camera, but I really love how this turned out. So again, this stamp set is called Moments with You stamp and thin cut set, and I absolutely positively love how it turned out. I hope I've inspired you to get creative and crafty with your supplies. Thanks for joining me, and have a wonderful day. See you next time.